in 3, 2. You're now live.
Thank you. Good afternoon to the Brentwood, Brentwood community on behalf of the entire Board of Education and Central Administration at the Brentwood School District. Welcome. We have a very full plate tonight for our exec session and public meeting. So what I am going to do is immediately call this meeting to order. And I need a motion to convene general session at 4:39 p.m. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Moore. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. I'm also going to need a motion to recess general session and convene into executive session at 4:39 p.m. for the purposes of seeking legal advice from the board's attorney. I need a motion.
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 Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by trustee Maria Gonzalez Prescott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? So moved. Just so that everybody in the community understands and knows, we are scheduled to come out back to public session to reconvene and work on the agenda that should have been posted today around 2 o'clock or so at 6:40. So with that being said, I hope that everybody can join us in about 2 hours. Thank you so much. Candace, if you could just let us know when we are in exec session.
1, you're live.
Good evening to the Brentwood community, and on behalf again of the Board of Education, Central Administration, and Council, welcome to our February 25th, 2021 board meeting. We are a little bit late. I apologize on behalf of all of us, but we are definitely taking care of school business. There's always so much to do. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and ask everybody to just please stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Just to the community, what we're doing is we're going to move to item A3. These are special presentations. Our first guest is Assemblyman Phil Ramos, who's going to be speaking about the charter school issue that we are facing in our community. So, Ms. O'Connor, if you can just let me know when he's here.
Coming on now, yep.
Good evening, Assemblyman Ramos. Are you with us?
I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome. It's very nice to see you.
Thank you.
Hello,
it's great
Phil.
to see you as well.
Are you in Albany now?
Excuse me?
Are you in Albany now?
Yes, actually I am.
Okay.
Mhm.
Listen, so I know that on behalf of the board, we welcome you. Thank you for all the support that you've shown the district throughout the years. I know that you're up there still fighting for all the communities that you represent, and we thank you deeply for everything that you're trying to do for us. With that being said, Mr. Ramos, I know that you're going to be talking about a very, I think, important topic for the Brentwood School District. The topic of charter school that might be coming into the district or is attempting to come into the district. Without further ado, please take it from here.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I really appreciate this opportunity to come before you. It's actually been years before I've come before this board and spoken, and that's a good sign. That's a good sign. I only get involved if something extraordinary is happening, or if I see some kind of corruption or something like that. And thank God, there's no need for disagreements in policy for me to get involved. And I'm proud of how things have progressed in our district. We are definitely seeing better days. Although at the state level, and at the federal level, we've been having some issues as a result of the impact of the coronavirus. But I'm actually very hopeful because the federal government has made New York State whole. They filled in a $15 billion deficit that we had. In addition, there's other federal monies that will be coming straight to schools, and we will be, God willing, doing some revenue enhancers in which we will be able to. I'm very hopeful that things will be in a better place in the near future. So I come before you today to speak about an issue that I approached the board some years ago when we had we had a charter school attempting to get a foothold into our area and establish a school in our districts. And so, I know that a lot of our constituents went through that period with us, and we had to do a lot of educating the public about what that means to our district, what a charter school is. Many people didn't even know what a charter school was or the impact that it would have on the public school district. And so we find ourselves in that position again. Thank God back then we were successful. We all united as a community. We were able to prevent them from getting a foothold here. And thanks to the good work of many of you and many people in the community who made their voices be heard, and as well as Central ISIP and in Bayshore, we all pumped up the volume and said a resounding no, that we do not want charter schools in this district. And I can proudly say that we are pretty much the only minority community, diverse community in New York State that has been successful in preventing charter schools from getting a foothold here. And the reason why they prey in diverse communities, and you don't see them going into wealthy communities, if they're supposedly so great, is because they know that in our community, we are a working community. People don't have time for meetings. They don't have time to protest. They might not be politically in tune with what's going on or have the political horsepower to have elected officials to fight against it. And that's why they prey on communities of color. And that's what we're seeing here. But in most of the communities that they've attempted this, they have been able to get a foothold. Now, it's important that the board and the constituents, the residents of our community, understand what this is. And basically, a charter school is an attempt to monetize the education of the students in our community, creating a business out of the education. What they find is that some people got together and said, they saw the billions that the state spends and gives to schools, to public schools, and they, somebody had a brainstorm and said, well, how can we get a hold of those billions that is public money for public schools and get them into the hands of the private sector so that we can make a profit off of this? And they came out with this concept of charter schools. And they created these schools that are quasi, supposedly private schools, public schools, but instead of people paying tuition, the way they pay the tuition is to take the money away from public schools and put them into these private schools, into these charter schools. And the first thing they do is come out to a community such as ours, and they start trying to sell the idea, which is what they are doing right now. Now, in many cases, they're successful in selling these ideas to the communities of color, because many times there's issues in the schools. Many, as we know, in New York State, and actually in the whole country, diverse communities, their school districts get shortchanged all the time. And it's written right into a discriminatory system, which says that the amount of money that a school gets is based on the values of homes. Right there, that is where the discrimination is written into the system, because basically logic would tell you, in a community where the homes are worth less, there's less value in the homes, like a community like Brentwood, Bayshore, and Central Islip, we will get less money than a community in the Hamptons that has millionaire mansions. They will have a windfall of money for their rich students to be able to have an education with all the resources that they need. So as a result of these inequities that we see, what happens is, you have people who are concerned about the public schools in our community because we're juggling, we're trying to make do with the funds that we have. And then the charter school comes in and says, you know what, you need a choice. You need to have a choice other than public schools. If you have any issues with the public schools, come to us, come to the charter school and allow us to establish ourselves in your community. And they keep repeating the word choice. This is an alternative. What's wrong with an alternative? We're going to have a community of color, and their students are now going to have another alternative. And you're going to hear that choice, alternative. What they don't tell you is that it's not a choice. They don't tell you that you don't have the right to put your child into that school. It's all done by a lottery. So no matter what you think the benefit of a charter school is, the chances are your child is not going to get picked to be put in that. Look at Brentwood. Brentwood has 20,000 students. The last charter school wanted to take in 300 students. So look at the math. 20,000 students, only 300 are going to go into the school. The odds are against any one of you getting your child into that school. But when that school is established, they will take millions of dollars out of the public school, and the vast majority of you will be left with a public school that's already marginally funded. Now even less resources are going to your students because it's going to a charter school for a select few. They keep talking about the quality of charter schools. Well, look, charter schools perform better. And why should we deprive children of a better education? What they don't tell you is that it's a false comparison. there is no proof that charter schools are better. What they do is that they have to accept any student that's put in there through the lottery. Yes, that is true. They'll tell you, no, we take any student, right? They'll tell you that. But then they find any reason, if the child is not performing well, to expel that child and put them back into the public school. This is their tactic that they've done throughout the country. They have a hair trigger when it comes to discipline or whatever it is to try and get rid of a student and put them back in the public school if they're not performing well. If they're performing well, they stay there. So then at the end of the year, you will see the average of this charter school is higher than the public school. But of course, they've taken part in getting rid of the students who don't perform well. The public school has to accept them, has no choice. They have to accept them. So that process, that tactic is called creaming. They take the cream from the top. They take the best students and they put them into their school, and then they say, look how much better our education is. No, your education is not better. You're only taking the better performing students. And if those students were in the Brentwood High School, in the Brentwood School District, the Brentwood School District's average would go higher as well. This is all done with mirrors, solely for the purpose to be able to get your tax money into a private school for somebody's profit. Now, when you say that, when they hear Assemblyman Ramos say this is a business, which they all are, and so they found a way to get around that, because that was a hard argument to get around. When people say, no, we don't want our children's education to become a business. A business has one goal: to sell a product at the cheapest price, right? And so basically, and make a profit, right? So this is the way they get around it. They said, they'll tell you, no, we're not a business. That's not true. What Assemblyman Ramos is saying is not true. We're not a business. We are a nonprofit. We don't make a profit on this. But when you go peel off the layers, then you figure out their tactic. And this has been, they've been really kind of exposed on this throughout the country. What they do is they form a nonprofit. The real entity that's creating the charter school is this private company. And what they'll do is they'll form a nonprofit. That's the face of the charter school. And the nonprofit hires a management company to come in and run the school. That management company is a business. So all the state money that will go into that nonprofit goes to pay a management company. That's where the real profit is being made. All right, so they're making an indirect business. They're funneling it through a nonprofit to a management company. And the nonprofit is just kind of a figurehead to kind of screen so that you think that nobody's making a profit out of this, and they are. So don't listen to those arguments. The other thing too is they say, well, we accept all students. Well, technically, yes, they accept all students, but if they don't offer the service, they don't accept. So if you have students with learning disabilities, if you have special needs children that the Brentwood School District must accept, these charter schools will say, no, we're not rejecting them. It's just that we don't offer the service, right? So it's all kind of a play on words. Then they'll tell you another thing. They'll say, well, look, no, we don't take money from the schools. What happens is the school gets a certain amount of money for that student. So we take the student and the money comes where the student goes, to our charter school. So we're not taking anything. So if the school district doesn't have that student, why should they get the money? What they don't tell you is that the money, first off, we don't get enough per student, all right? If you go out to Great Neck, you will find that those school districts get $25,000 per student per year to study, to go to those schools, right? In Great Neck. Brentwood gets somewhere around $13,000, $14,000 per student. Same thing in Central Islip, right? So we're already marginal in what we get. So now they take several hundred students away. What they don't realize is that out of that $13,000, all that part of that money, a good part of that money, goes to collective things, right? So if you have a certain amount of students, then you have you have a library in the school, you have transportation, you have collective services that you can't take that, you can't cut a bus in half, and say, okay, now, no, you have to have a whole bus that will go out there and you have to pay for it regardless. So the school district, the public school district, and you, the taxpayer, will have to pay for the transportation of these students to the charter school. And that's besides the 13,000 that they will get. The public school has to pay for the transportation for them to go there. And also all those other costs that 13,000 goes to that are collective, that also is lost to the school district. So trying to say that, well, the student is leaving, and of course the money is leaving, so the school has less students, so it doesn't matter, it has no impact. That's not true. That is absolutely not true, because the school is left with the transportation costs and the collective costs that, if you have 10,000 students in the school district, then you must have a library a certain size, you must have a certain amount of books, all that comes out of that basic 13,000 that come for our student. And that has to be spent whether that student is there or in a charter school. So I hope I'm not getting too complicated here, but I just want to tell you what a scam, in my opinion, these charter schools are. And all it is a way to take advantage of schools. Now, the other thing they will keep, talking about as if it's a given is that charter schools perform well. You know what? Charter schools on Long Island have been closed for incompetency. It's just like public schools. There's good ones and there's bad ones. So there's no, charter schools are not a magic bullet, right? So please, parents, realize you don't have a choice to put your child into that school. It's a lottery in which the odds are against you, and chances are your child will be stuck in the school district minus the millions that is taken away from the charter school. I am going to continue to make videos on the different issues. One thing I want to tell you is that right now they're trying to market this to our community. So the first thing they will do is reach out to some leaders in our community with the benefits of being board members. Right? It's not like the public school board members who serve out of the goodness of their heart and everything. There are benefits that go to the board members of the charter school. And those board members do not answer to you, the public. You can't go to that board meeting. You can't voice your opinions the way you do in front of the Brentwood School Board. You have no control, yet you as a taxpayer have to pay for that. So please don't believe the hype. And right now they're in the salesman stage. They're trying to sell this. They haven't submitted their application yet, but they have established a Facebook page. It's the South Shore Charter School. All right, so they have a Facebook page which is interactive. We need our community to get on that Facebook page, because they use that Facebook when they make the application. They will take the interactions on those Facebook page to prove that the community wants this charter school. So we need you, the public, to get on there and voice your objection to them taking millions away from our public schools for a select few and to make a business out of the education of our children. So South Shore Charter School Facebook page. Go on there, make note of what the things I'm telling you right now, raise your objections. And when they start with all this hype and all these things that they're saying, you need to stand up and make your voice heard. We in Brentwood, a lot of things, we take it on the chin here. We are not vocal as a community. And if we don't do this, these millions will come out of the school district. Our school district will be further shortchanged. And who do you think that's going to have to pay for that? Who do you think is going to have to make up the difference? You, the taxpayer. Your taxes will go up. If you want your school to fill in the hole made by this charter school, your property taxes will go up as a result of that. And if you rent, your rent is probably going to go up because your landlord now has to pay a higher mortgage. So either way, it's going to affect everybody involved. We will make a series of videos to try and educate the public. I ask the school board to stand with me in opposition to this and to please use your megaphone, use your pulpit to educate the community as well. Do the same thing I'm doing. And people in the public, if you have any questions, please feel free to call my office, to interact with us on Facebook, to email us in any way, any doubts you have about anything that the charter school says or puts out there, please pose the questions to me. And if I have to make a video and explain to everybody, we will do that. So I know that, we have many noble board members here who understand what I'm saying. And I hope that you stand together with me and the community to fight back against anything that tries to usurp any resources away from our students. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Assemblyman Ramos. Thank you so much. So,
Thank you.
Assemblyman Ramos, if I can just recap what it is that we can do right now in terms of mobilizing our community. What I heard you say was that as a community, we need to go onto the South Shore Charter School Facebook page
Yes,
and voice our objections on that
Yes.
Facebook page so that it's not used as a propaganda tool in order to have a successful application at the state level.
exactly. Now, there's another thing you could do also is that they will come out, and you remember last time this happened, I called out these board members, and what they were is, I called them civic mercenaries. These are people who are getting privileges on the, pretending to be community leaders, but really they're getting some kind of personal privilege as a result of selling out our students. That happened last time. It's gonna happen again. So you need to interact with those board members and let them know, we will not stand for what you're trying to do in our community. Right? You have to defuse what they're trying to do, because these board members coming from our community will add legitimacy to them when they apply. So we need to push back as a community when they try to realize that although every student, every family in Brentwood has to subject themselves to a lottery in order to have their child go in there, and it's just a roll of the dice whether the board members, no, the board members get to put their children in there. They do have a choice. All right, so they're getting that and other benefits as well that the people in Brentwood are not going to get, but then they're going to try and sell to you the fact that you should accept this charter school when their kids are the only ones who are going to be a sure bet to get in.
Assemblyman Ramos, I know that last time when we went through this, Ms. Moore and I were side by side with you. I remember we went to a couple of the stops in Central Islip. We went to local churches. Can you give us what you think the timetable is in terms of how quickly all of this can evolve? So right now they are trying to sell this. When do you expect the application to go in, and when should we?
It's no telling, right? It's hard to put a timetable on it because they haven't actually filed the application. They wrote me a letter. I guess they didn't do their homework and they thought I was going to be on board with them. And I'm sure they have reached out to other elected officials in our community. I hope that my colleagues in this community speak up, and because they also get involved politically. The last time that I opposed and we were successful in kicking out the charter schools collectively put $700,000 behind my next opponent the following year. Right? So you're going to have elected officials who might be hesitant to get involved. I believe every elected official who represents us should be here addressing the board and should be, as time goes on, they should be given an opportunity and they should stand with us in this fight to oppose it. And the community should ask them, what is your position? And if your position is that you are opposed to it, then we're asking you to come out and also declare that, and to write a letter to the state agencies that have to license this school in opposition. At a certain point, we're going to need the public and all of you from the school board, as well as every elected official, to write those letters in opposition, because they are going to try and create the illusion that this community wants this.
Assemblyman, as a member of the assembly, I think that there's some information that you'll have even before we get it as a school district. I mean, will you just reach out to us and let us know, where things are as things evolve? Because I do believe, and I thank you for everything that you've brought to the table. I do believe that this is critical for our community and the communities that you represent. And we're going to need somebody to play point in terms of, leading us as a unified group to make sure that all of our voices are echoing the same message.
Most certainly. You count on me. We're going to be watching them like a hawk every step of the way. We're not going to wait for them to put in an application before we start voicing our opposition. The last time we did that, they ended up withdrawing their application because they realized the wrath of this community was against it, and they could not make the case that this community wanted it. So that's why this time we're much more educated than we were last time. Many people didn't even know what a charter school was. So I will definitely, keep you advised as to every step of the way, what's going to happen, what we need to do. If I see any move on their part and the agencies involved, I'm going to ask them to notify me if there is any application filed at any particular time.
Assemblyman Ramos, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask council to summarize or to see if we can, this is a direction that we can head in, summarize what it is that you just presented in terms of the action plan. And I'm going to ask if we can put this on our Facebook page so that we can, again, educate the public. And what we'll do is we'll use our platform in partnership with you and everybody else who's out there to do with the preemptive strike that you've just described.
Great. That would be wonderful. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And thank you
so
for this
much.
Thank you,
opportunity.
Phil.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
night.
Assemblyman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was wonderful. And if
That was.
Kathy, Ms. Hoey, if you could just take down notes of what it is that we just described, I will send an email tomorrow asking that we do summarize what Assemblyman Ramos has just presented. We'll have council take a look at it, and we will put this on the website to really start educating the public and doing all of that preemptive work that might actually silence this before it actually evolves into something. Thank you.
Should this be put on the Brentwood Moms and Dads page on Facebook?
Absolutely. We just share it with as many people, as many platforms as we can. And we can actually write that in the summary so that we are trying to educate and distribute effectively. Our next special presentation is something that we haven't done in a long while. Mr. Loescher, I mean, do you want to just take this? It's a special recognition for our Regeneron semifinalist.
I know this is very, very exciting. I'm thrilled that we have Ashley here with us, but I think we're gonna, Ms. O'Connor, are you going to let Dr. Greller?
Yep.
It's something that we haven't done in a long while. Mr. Loescher, I mean, do you want to just take this? It's a special recognition for.
Okay. Hey, Ashley, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
We're doing great. It's so great to see you, and Dr. Greller, it's great to see you as well.
Everyone.
I'm going to do a real brief introduction, and then I'm going to ask Dr. Greller to speak, and then we have to hear from Ashley. She's going to. I asked her today if she could explain her project to us, her research project to us in ways that we can understand, because usually when we meet with our research kids, they have a language all to their own. But Ashley is a wonderful, wonderful young lady, and Brentwood should be extremely proud of Ashley. What she's accomplished is something that very few kids have accomplished. She's one of 300 students across the country that were chosen as Regeneron semifinalists. So just to make it to that, first of all, just to apply to the Regeneron, contest is really remarkable in and of itself. But to be chosen as a semifinalist is really quite an honor. And really, Ashley has put her heart and soul into it. You're going to hear from Dr. Greller and Ashley exactly how she had to overcome some obstacles, because obviously this is a crazy year, a pandemic year. So what she had to overcome in order to submit this research project is really quite extraordinary. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Greller. Dr. Greller, if you could just give us a little bit of a background here.
Sure, absolutely. Good evening. And thank you, Mr. Loescher and Board of Education, for hosting Ashley and I this evening and really inviting us to celebrate the success of Ashley's 2021 Regeneron Science Talent Search Semifinalist recognition. This isn't just a recognition for Ashley. This is a recognition for our public school, our public education in the Brentwood Union Free School District. Ashley's research is a pandemic success story. It highlights really the importance of public education. And I'm really pointing at our last speaker. Ashley's research is a pandemic success story because it highlights the collective efforts that we've all put into our science research program in Brentwood. The Board of Education support for the Summer Science Research Program made this possible, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank Mike Cruz and Stacey O'Connor for really making it possible for Ashley to build a laboratory in her garage. In her garage. Yes, that's what I said. So what Ashley set up in her garage was a mushroom grow farm. And our buildings and grounds crew was so wonderful in transporting items from the high school research lab to Ashley's garage. And Ashley then took it upon herself to set up this lab. What she did in that laboratory over the summer and in the field with me was really embellish her project and work on that project and collect really important relevant data to showcase a sustainable packaging that she created using mushrooms. For those of you that are not aware of the work that goes into these projects, the competition that Ashley is being recognized for is the oldest and the most prestigious in the nation. Ashley is the face of the face of Brentwood and how we, no matter what, we continue to strive through and push through our hurdles. And this success, again, is not just about Ashley succeeding. It is amazing for Ashley too, but it's about the collective efforts of everything that we stand for in the Brentwood Union Free School District. And with the support of all of her teachers, the application is extensive. Her curriculum is a main portion of the application. All of her AP scores, everything from her tests and the SATs and ACTs, everything is a component of this application. And what Ashley has done is really modeled the possibilities for any STEM student in the Brentwood Union Free School District. With a little bit of a vision and a hope and a dream, you can make anything possible. And what we've been working on in the lab and in the field is really helping students find their ikigai. And that's your passion and your purpose in life. And you will see from Ashley's presentation and the work that she submitted that she's following her passion, she's following her ikigai, and she's following what we instill in our students in Brentwood. So I'll let you hear from Ashley.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Ashley Alcantara, and I just want to say that it's such an honor to be here tonight and tell you about my research project achievement. But first, let's start off with the basics. So how did I choose my research project topic and get to where I am today? So it began in 10th grade, the first year of a 3-year research journey where Dr. Grillo, where she mentioned just now, that we needed to find our ikigai. And the ikigai is a Japanese word for the reason to live or your purpose. And as a 10th grader, finding your purpose in life is definitely not something that I thought about. So I definitely had to go through all these obstacles in order to get a feel for where my passion and purpose really lied. And during this time, I was working on using enzymes to degrade plastic. However, after a year on working on this project, I found that I wasn't really passionate and my data kind of fell flat and wasn't really progressing where I wanted it to go. In that case, in 11th grade, I started looking for a new research topic and came across Eric Clarenbeek with his 3D printing mushroom mycelium and Ecovative, which is a company based in New York. And they create mycelium-based packaging, leather, and furniture. But what exactly is mycelium? Mycelium is the root structure of the mushroom, and it's ideal for packaging because it acts as a sort of natural glue that binds to the materials that it grows on. That brings us to what my project is right now, which focuses on creating biodegradable packaging using mycelium from this mushroom called Paratus ostratus, or otherwise known as pearl mushrooms or tree oyster mushrooms, as an alternative to plastic packaging. My project aims to solve our plastic pollution problem since plastic, as you might know, pollutes both our oceans and land environments. In order to solve this problem, I'm using mushrooms since 1, they naturally degrade in our environment, 2, are more cost effective, 3, are easy to grow and manufacture, and 4, have fire retardant properties. Some of the experiments that I worked on involved using biopolymers, xanthan, and gargum, and those are just food additives, where I use them to coat as kind of to serve as this like protective layer around my mycelium to see if they could serve as like strengthening properties for my mycelium. In another experiment, Mr. Mulder, who is now my principles of engineering teacher, he printed 2 3D letter E molds, one with a cover and one without. And in these molds, I grew my mushrooms and compared their compressive force with that of styrofoam using an Instron machine. The results of this test indicated that mycelium in the uncovered mold had 13.2 times more compressive force than styrofoam. And these importance are important because they prove not only that mycelium is more durable than plastic, but in a society where packaging is a pretty huge deal, we need to make sure that if I'm proposing this biodegradable packaging, it has to be an efficient and durable product in order for society to use. Overall, my project is essential for future endeavors to eliminate plastic pollution because if packaging wasn't mycelium based, if mycelium was mycelium based, then we wouldn't have islands of plastic in the ocean, such as the Great Pacific Patch, or we wouldn't have to worry about ingesting plastic because we ate some marine animals in the oceans who ingested plastic. More so, even though we say, oh yeah, recycling is a solution that we can take, it's not really a solution because in reality, only 9% of waste gets recycled. The rest is just either burned or just left in landfills. The bottom line is plastic is a recurring and accumulative cycle of waste issues that needs to be solved right now. The question is, after I graduate, where do I go on from here? With the intention of majoring in civil engineering with a concentration of structural engineering, I want to implement eco-friendly materials into the structures that I build. Specifically, building with timber, plastic waste, or any other natural materials, it will help us just take a great step towards the future and replacing concrete, which contributes to 8% of global carbon emissions. And with that, I hope that all of you enjoyed this overlook of my project and carry from this point on some food of thought and how you too can contribute to our environment. Thank you so much.
That
Yay.
was fantastic.
That was great.
That was a wonderful, wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, Ashley. It's wonderful to see a
Thank
student with us here at the meeting. I just see everybody with smiles on their faces, and it's really, really good to see. Board members, anything you want to add?
Just so
Okay.
impressed. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, that was a beautiful. So I can't wait till you come back to Brentwood and let us know how you did your future regards to where your education's going. Can't wait to hear it.
So, Dr. Grella, if you can just let us know what's the next step for Ashley in terms of this Regeneron experience?
So Ashley, we now have a partnership with Commissioner of Labor, Commissioner Drago from Suffolk County Department of Labor. And what we're doing right now is we're developing a podcast series. So Ashley will be working on several podcasts. She has 2 posted right now on our letsscience.org website. So if you go on over to letssciencethat.org, you will find Ashley's work. You will also find the work of many of our other science research students. So right now, Ashley is working to coach a lot of our 10th and 11th grade cohort students on making podcasts. Commissioner Drago has hired 3 of our students to do podcasting for careers in the STEM fields. That podcast just aired the other day. with Commissioner Drago. I will send that on over to everyone. But this is really the next steps for our research program, is to really get the word out there and to really share the science that our young scientists of Brentwood are working on. And Ashley has really been pivotal in the founding of the Let's Science That podcast program. So, as a founding member, she will be contributing back to the Brentwood community. And Ashley will also serve as one of our podcasting liaisons moving forward. So we're happy that to have this new outlet for our research program.
Wow.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I
Really
know that
awesome.
we have a tremendous amount of great guidance going on with the teachers and the staff that we have in the Brentwood School District. Dr. Grella, I just know that you're just one of those outstanding members of that group. And Ashley and all the kids that come through your classroom are so lucky to experience, the Grella year, or the Grella years, because it could be multiple years. That's what's so wonderful about it. So Ashley, I mean, how great is that? Good for you. Congratulations on behalf of the entire board, on behalf of the central administration, the staff, and all the teachers that contributed to your education along the way. Dr. Grella grabs you when you are, in the high school, but there was a whole foundation that was poured along the way by so many other people. So thank you to everybody that contributed to this success. Dr. Grella, I can't let you leave without mentioning, the work that you're doing on the grant, for the district. I understand, little birdie told me out there that there, are hundreds of thousands of dollars that may be heading our way because of some of the work that you're doing outside of what you're doing with the students. Can you just quickly let the board members, and I'm sure everybody in the community, know what it is that you're doing?
Sure. My colleagues, which are the cabinet of Mr. Lochner, and I submitted a grant to the New York State Education Department for the Smart Start New York program last November. And we were informed on February 12th that we will be the recipients of a $1.2 million funded proposal for 5 years. So it's $244,000 a year over 5 years. And the goal of the program is to engage our technology programs and our elementary programs. So I'll be working closely with Dr. Akil and Ms. Palmer and Ms. Ortiz to really focus on raising and elevating our STEM curriculums by providing education for professional development, innovative PD for educators. And the goal is to really transform the shape of how we do technology, but also work in parallel with the Workforce Development Board, which has been a wonderful experience for me and for Vincent Leone. We've been doing all the workforce development meetings once a month to really showcase how we can really outreach to development through community-based organizations, as well as industry. And the partnership with the county is really opening doors, not just for funding for our programs for students, but also for educators. And that's where we plan to go with the Smart Start New York program. So we'll have a cohort of teachers for the next 5 years that will roll into really intensive professional development, building upon previous New York State funded grants. And it's going to be a really exciting initiative for all of us.
That's wonderful, 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 wonderful. And I just have one more question. When are we going to start sending our kids back to Stony Brook? I know we have that resource right there. I don't know if Ashley or anybody recently was able to take advantage of that. I know that that was a funding issue that was that turned off that valve for us.
So what we've been working on now is a lot of distance learning initiatives. A lot of scientists have opened up their labs in terms of if students do need equipment. We have a full service lab at the high school that we've really been utilizing to the fullest extent. And, really that has definitely curbed some of the costs associated with sending students to Stony Brook. And last summer, we had the program, which we're aiming to do this summer under some of the guidance of Monica Martinez as a deputy of state parks. The goal is to have a program running at Sunken Meadow State Park, and each of our students, we're looking to have 10 Brentwood students, 5 Smithtown students, and provide stipends to pay them. So they'd actually be paid over a 4-week period. We're looking to pay each student $1,000. So right now we're looking to solicit funds to pay the students so that they don't feel like they have to choose between their research project and working full time.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Great.
Ashley, again, on behalf of the entire board, on behalf of the community, the school district, congratulations. I mean, I think that you're absolutely, representing Brentwood the way we know Brentwood to be. So
Absolutely.
congratulations to you. And we look forward, as Ms. Gonzalez said, to see all of your future endeavors and everything that you're going to contribute to this world, not just the Brentwood community.
So much.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I
Go,
will,
Ashley.
That
Thank
was
you.
fabulous, Ashley.
Congratulations, Ashley.
I would also like to congratulate Rebecca Grella. She's not only just a teacher, but being such a fabulous mentor to our students, which is so important today.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Rebecca Grella.
Thank you. That was terrific, guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
to you
you.
both.
Have a good
Bye,
night.
guys.
Have a good evening.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you again.
Bye.
Thanks so much. Take good care.
You too.
All right. So now we get on to the boring stuff. That was wonderful. It really was. It really was
Yeah,
wonderful. So-
I almost want to just end it right now.
I was
Can
gonna
we?
say,
Yeah,
can we
yeah.
call it a day?
So we're gonna go on with our agenda items. We're gonna start with page 1. We are on consent agenda. I would like to remind board members to please turn on their microphones as we are just going through this process. So on consent agenda, be it resolved that the following items be approved. B1A through B1M. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. I need a second.
Second.
Second by trustee Holder Daniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Be it resolved that the following items be approved. B2A through B2T. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second, please?
Second,
Second by trustee Moore. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Be it resolved that the following items be approved. C1A and C1B. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by trustee Burgos. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. We are now going to the items. And their action items, starting on page 10. T1A, appointments, resignations, and leaves of certificated personnel as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second, please?
second,
Second by trustee Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. We are now on D1B, appointments, resignations, and leaves of non-certificated personnel as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. We are now on D1C, extension for appointment for the interim coordinator of athletics as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Could I have, so D1D, approval of additional work days for Miss Marilyn Freyd Utwarte as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by trustee Burgos. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1E, approval of additional work days for Miss Kathy Hill as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Safiri. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by trustee Holder Daniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1F, approval of additional work days for Mr. Jose Suarez as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Safiri. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
Second by trustee Burgos. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1G. D1G, approval of additional work days for Mr. Kevin O'Reilly as proposed on the agenda. I need a motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. E1A are student enrollment figures. That's for information, general information only. F19 is also miscellaneous items for information only. And G1A, old and new business. I'd like to take this moment to see if there are any questions. Mr. Lochner, this is actually something that we had discussed. So if I can just summarize this, your schools are starting to open, plan to open. Different districts are coming up with different opening plans. And I guess the question for full day, and sometimes in all grade levels, what is the district's approach to this subject?
Thank you, Mr. Feliciano. It's really a great question. One I would definitely like to address the community about. And I have obviously spoken to the board. We've conferred on this quite a bit. We are at this time, we're actually bringing in seniors next week. It's about 243 seniors will return to us, and they'll be with us full time, 5 days a week. Now, we have, particularly here in Brentwood, obviously we have some difficulties in trying to bring in other grades. What we are trying to do is be very, very strategic here in Brentwood, because we still have to abide by the 6-foot social distancing rule within classrooms, as well as all of the other safety protocols that the governor and the Department of Health have put on school districts. So what we found is we could bring in these seniors, and also we have room for a few more seniors. We can bring them in safely into the high school and still maintain social distancing within all of the classrooms. Now, other school districts, yes, they are looking at bringing in, not just high school kids, but their middle school and their elementary school. And as I've mentioned in a number of these meetings, that we just don't have the capacity or the ability to be able to bring in whole classrooms. Whole classes or grade levels, I should say. We did look very seriously at the elementary schools, if we could bring in first grade, second grade, or fifth grade, for example. However, as I've mentioned before, that we just don't have the classroom space or the capacity to bring in all of our students 5 days a week at this time. So what we're doing, however, is we're looking at subcategories of students. Since we can't bring in whole grade levels across the district, for example, I mentioned first grade. If we brought in first grade, we would actually have classrooms with upwards of 24, 25 students in a class. And that's more than the Department of Health, the governor, or the CDC has recommended within schools. So we actually cannot do that. And we're obviously very saddened by that. We'd love to give that opportunity to different grade levels, but we just can't break those rules. Obviously, the safety of the students and staff is the #1 priority of this school board as well as myself. So that's why we really can't go forward with it. However, we are looking at different categories within the school system. So for instance, we've actually brought in all of the SIFE students across the district. However, that's not that many kids, so it really is not having a huge impact on the classrooms themselves. We're also looking to bring back full-time our resource students. We have approximately 300 resource students across the district, grades K through 12. If we bring 300 students back across 17 schools in all those different classrooms, as you can imagine, that really doesn't have a huge impact. So a classroom, for example, might only go from 11 or 12 students up to 13 students. So it really wouldn't impact those requirements that I just mentioned earlier. So we're also looking at other categories of students where we can safely bring them back into the school district. But we are committed to both things, to trying to get as many kids back to 5-day instruction, but we also are committed to doing it in a safe, responsible way. And I know the board feels strongly about this, as I do, that we would like to maintain that 6-foot distance. Obviously, the kids will continue to wear their masks, practice all of the other safety protocols, but that's where we are at this time. I know the freshman center, I left out the freshman center, they're looking at a subcategory of students to potentially bring back maybe 40 to 45 students. But we have to be very surgical in how we bring back our kids and who we bring back in order to maintain those safety protocols. So
Thank you,
that's
Ms. Loshner.
okay.
Yeah, no, and all of that is actually happening as we speak. I mean, I know that we have also had updates as a board. Ms. Loshner, when do you see the first set of those subgroups starting to come back?
Well, we have the seniors coming back to us on March 1st. So that's actually next Monday. We're super excited. And I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Callan, Dr. Doolin, and the entire administrative staff, as well as the teachers. I mean, they really worked together to be able to pull this off safely. It really did require quite a bit of scheduling. So I'm really proud of them and happy that we were able to do this for our seniors so they can experience the last half of their high school career. And we're very excited about that. So that's March 1st. Some of these, the SIFE students, they've already, have returned to us. If not, the final group will be March 1st as well. The resource students we're looking at, I would anticipate them coming back on March 8th. Some of those other subcategories, probably March 8th and March 15th will be those groups as well. And one final thing is we'll always monitor what the Department of Health is saying, as well as the governor. And if things change, we will certainly react as quickly as those changes come down to us.
Thank you, Ms. Loshner. The next question, I think I can answer, and this question has come up before. Why did it take so long for the agenda to be posted? I know that central administration and the district is always trying to take care of as much business that they can whenever we have a business meeting. Our goal and what it is that we're going to be trying to obtain is having the agenda posted, I want to say by noon of the day of the business meeting. And we have actually mentioned that in the past. And I know that sometimes it's hours after that, but there's usually a good reason. It could be that we're still waiting for a decision to be made or some information to get back from a particular administrator or even council, we may need council's input on certain pieces that may have to be vetted by them. So, Mr. Lucian, I mean, is it safe to say that we can try for noon of the day of the business meeting, and knowing that, you know, it's going to be imperfect and we're not going to get to that all the time, but is that safe enough?
No, yes, and the things that you mentioned are absolutely accurate. We were waiting today for a contract to come through, you know, to pay some vendors. So that we are sometimes waiting for certain things at the last minute, no matter how much we try to get some information from different parties. A lot of times it really comes in that morning, and obviously then we have to put it together. We also want the board to preview the agenda before it goes on. It is the Board of Education's agenda. But we're committed to getting it out. We will move mountains to make sure it's out by 12 o'clock on, you know, for the March meeting.
Yep, yep, and that's it. So I know that we've talked about this in the past, and we understand that, you know, that there are always you know, circumstances behind it, but certainly we will you know, start paying a little bit more attention to the timing of the posting of the agenda. So thank you for that person bringing it up. Ms. Lotion, I don't know if this is actually the case, and I can only answer. The next question is, why is it that the only people being trained, the only departments being trained are administrators? I don't believe that is true. You know, I don't want to answer it. Can you, Mr. Lotion? Why is it that there? I guess there's a question: is why is it that the only department that's being trained are administrators? I don't know that to be the case. I know that there's professional development that goes on during the entire year for all sorts of groups of employees. Can you expand on that? I mean,
I'm not certain what they mean by trained. If you're speaking about professional development, we have professional development. It's ongoing in every single building. As a matter of fact, I was over at North Middle School today talking to Mr. Gangler, and he spoke about some professional development that was brought in earlier this week. The cabinet members are constantly working on professional development for our teachers, K through 12. As a matter of fact, we even work with our UPK providers. So really, professional development is ongoing, as you said, and really begins at the beginning of the school year and takes place all the way through the end of the year. We've also instituted quite a bit of professional development around the new technology. Obviously, this was brand new to us, so we've you know, given quite a bit of professional development to the staff. All, you know, different grade levels, different schools obviously have done quite a bit of that on their own, as well as through central administration. The training part, I'm really not certain.
So what I'm going to do, Ms. Lotioner, is, you know, to whoever it is that's within the district that's looking for some specific kind of training and feels like it's not being provided but might be essential, feel free to reach out to your direct supervisor to request that. And then if there is no satisfaction there, like we've always suggested to everybody, is follow the chain of command and see if that could be satisfied elsewhere. Ultimately, it will land at Mr. Lotioner's desk, Mr. Lotioner's office, and then, you know, we'll have better detail as to, you know, what might be lacking. So that would be the advice to that particular questioner. Mr. Lotion, I guess the next question is, at the last budget meeting, it was mentioned that some students that attend BOCES would be placed at Hemlock. He seems to think that the building does not have the proper facilities or to handle this population. Will that be addressed?
Yeah, I mean, we're still in the planning stages. What we're considering is bringing back, and it's just a small amount of students. It will be either 8 to 16, no more than 16, back to the district, and it will be in first grade to begin with. Certainly, Hemlock is one of the schools that we have identified as potentially bringing the kids back to, but this final decision hasn't been made yet.
Okay, thank you.
You know, and if in fact we do, you know, go down this road and bring that program back, we will, you know, do everything possible to make sure that the classrooms are outfitted correctly, the teachers are trained, the proper staff is brought in, So there's a lot that's going into that, and we're certainly not going to make that decision lightly. If it is Hemlock or any other school, you know, as I said, all of the necessary equipment and training that it will take place prior to the students arriving to us.
Thank you. Thank you for those assurances. Ms. Lotion, the next question is, why does the district have to have special education students take Regents exams when they know that, you know, that it's students do not need the mandated credits to receive a Regents or even a local diploma? Even if they pass the exams, they will only obtain an IEP diploma, which is, in this particular questioner's opinion, is not mandated. I don't know anything about that particular topic. Can you address that?
Oh, yeah, certainly. And there was a lot in there that.
Okay, so let me summarize. So why are special ed students required to take these Regents exams? And even if they pass, they're only going to get an IEP diploma, which is, and the exams are essentially, this questioner is asking why we're doing this when the exams themselves are not mandated by the state.
Okay, all right. Well, first, the exams are actually mandated, and every student, special education included, is required to take the Regents exam. Now, if they're referring to last year or this year, last year the Regents examinations actually were waived, as we all know at that point. So anybody who was scheduled to take the exam actually, and if they passed the course, actually did get credit for the Regents. This year, the final decision has not been made. However, all indications are that the Regents examinations will be given in the springtime. However, that may change. The Board of Regents is meeting in March, and at that point, from what I understand, that they will come out with a final decision after their meeting in mid-March. Now, so all special education students are required to take the Regents exam. There are
You need to
some,
specify that a little bit better.
however,
Special ed, for
Well,
special ed.
exactly. There are some special education students that actually do not take the Regents exam. However, that's only a small percentage of the special education students. They take what's called NISA, you know, so they actually take a different type of exam, and they obviously get a separate diploma. But it's also not true to say that special education students don't get Regents diploma. As a matter of fact, the majority of our special education students do in fact take the Regents, pass the Regents, and we're very proud to say get a Regents diploma. It is true that there are different levels. So what happens is, for example, that there's different scaffolding, for example. So a special education student may not get a 65, but may get a 60, but still be given the Regents credit. So they actually do get a Regents diploma. However, there are other, you know, again, there are other points where if a special education student may not get a 65 in 2 Regents exams, then yes, they would get a local diploma. So, you know, there are different requirements, but in essence, it's easy to say, an oversimplistic way to state it is every special education student is mandated to take the Regents exam. And as I said, that we're happy that most of them actually get a Regents diploma, and those that don't, there are other diplomas that they do walk away with.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
If I could just echo one thing that Mr. Lochner said, and this of course comes back to the Committee on Special Education. So I would just encourage any parent who has concerns about that to make sure that that's discussed during a CSE meeting.
Right, right.
And I guess the last 2 pieces, one was a comment on, you know, again, opening the chat while we're meeting. What we did was we have allowed for the emails to come through to the district clerk so that questions on the agenda, anything that's being discussed in the meeting can be mailed to the district clerk while we're meeting in order to engage or allow for the community to be engaged And then the other one was Ms. Lotion. I guess it's more of a just a kind of like a FYI. It seems like there is a community member who is concerned about the duplicity in terms of the forms that are being created within the district. So apparently there was a health form that was mailed out to all students, and there wasn't any. I guess what's being said is that there wasn't any care taken in looking at whether or not the students who were mailed these forms had already submitted them. And I guess the concern is that it is going to be wasteful. It's going to be an expense that we didn't need. Sending out forms, health forms in particular, seem to be an expense that, that we might not have to take if we could just target the people that we're trying to communicate with. So it wasn't really a question. It was a comment. And I want to say that, that we'll absolutely continue to, to increase the efficiencies along the way. Sometimes it's and Ms. Lotion, you could correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes it takes so much staff time to sort these things out that it might not be effective to sort out, this kind of stuff on a district-wide level versus just sending them out to the community. Mr. Lotion, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure exactly what they're referring to. I mean, quite a few forms that are sent out, but I think you answered that correctly. I do wish, my hope is obviously that we only mail out information to those students that need it, and the students and families. But I think your answer is accurate. Sometimes it might be sent out to entire buildings because to go through and only call out those that need it, it actually might cost us more money in the long run. But I do agree with, the sentiment. I would like to obviously make it much more efficient and only send it out to those people. But again, I'm not certain as to what they're referring to in terms of the health form. We did
And
send out.
and I would also want to add, I think that we are heading in that direction. So the more paperless we go, the more things we do on the Parent Square platform,
right?
The less paper is going to be sent to everybody's home. So I would, definitely encourage everyone within the district to make sure that the district has an email address that's working and it's updated. And they do sign up either as students or parents on the Parent Square so that we can, mitigate those
Right,
expenses.
right.
Yep. Okay. So I think that was it for tonight. Ms. Lochner, I just want to thank you again for putting the presentation together for today. I know that we were trying to do that last month, and I'm just so glad that we didn't, rush that through because it was really, really spectacular. And I think that it's definitely one of those things, a shot in the arm that we needed, I think, at this point.
Yeah, you realize that, when we were in person the last few years, we really experienced this almost on a monthly basis. We had people, kids coming in and giving presentations or receiving awards, and you realize how much that means to the community. So we have to really kind of try to get back on track, even if it's virtual, to have these presentations, because it really is a lift, really does lift us up, and it really highlights our kids. Ashley is obviously a fabulous young lady. If you weren't grinning ear to ear listening to her, if you weren't impressed too, just as I said, her knowledge and really what the research kids do, it really does echo what Assemblyman Ramos said, and that is that there's nothing like public schools. So if we get back to this charter school, not that I want to get back into that, but really they will never offer the quality of education that Brentwood School District offers to our kids. And that's number one. And really, this Ashley is the epitome of the research kids. And Dr. Greller, as mentioned by this Board of Education, is really an exceptional educator. She's an exceptional educator, but it's not. We have lots of them in our school district, and I'm sure she'd be the first to say that. So yeah, we have to have that again. I actually did also put together. I asked the cabinet to put together some of the highlights which we also have kind of gotten away from. Usually, Mr. Feliciano, at the end of the meeting, you'd ask me to read a few things. If you don't mind, I'd love to.
This meeting is not over. You can have,
All right.
absolutely, this is yours.
Well, just a few more minutes. I won't take up any more time than that. But I would like to say, first of all, I'm really happy that we started the mentoring program again. So we have 54 of our upperclassmen, and this is all obviously spearheaded by Assistant Superintendent Ann Palmer. She actually has spearheaded this. So we have 54 students, mostly juniors and seniors, I believe, that are actually mentoring 54 one-on-one, 54 of our lower classmen, first grade, second grade, the elementary students who are in need of a mentor. And they're going to meet with them virtually, obviously. And then we hope to, at the end of the year, have a big get together, maybe out on a field where all of the mentors and mentorees can get together. But we're really excited to get that off the program, or off the ground, I should say. We also then, in partnership with Stony Brook University, we have 32 middle school students are attending Stony Brook's Engineering Academy. Okay, the students receive engineering kits, and obviously they work with graduate students and engineers over at the university. Very proud to say we've actually have 20 January high school graduates. So 20 of our kids graduated this past January. I want to thank Mr. Chang and the entire staff up there at Evening High School. And we will have a virtual graduation in the very near future. As I mentioned earlier, we have over 240 high school seniors returning to us full time. And I already thanked the high school administrative staff. I want to thank and congratulate Mr. Joe Such. He's a high school economics teacher. He received the Gold Star Teacher Award by WISE, an organization that promotes the teaching of personal finance. Antoinette Shervington, our very own guidance counselor, is being recognized by Congressman Andrew Garbarino for Black History Month. Also, Dr. Akil, at this very moment, unfortunately, we were not able to watch the ceremony, but she's being recognized also by legislator Sammy Gonzalez for Black History Month. So really an exceptional, we have, as you know, exceptional people that work here. I also want to say our Black History Month celebrations, I want to thank the schools. Really, virtually every school has done something for the entire month of February, and I'm very proud of all of the efforts they put into Black History Month. It has really become a part of our school culture here. Okay, the high school began 2 Title III after-school programs called Sonadores and Champion for Success, and this provides mentorship and after-school assistance to help students be successful academically and emotionally. We also have virtual workshops, Angelo Del Toro Puerto Rican Hispanic Youth Leadership Institute. And again, students will attend virtual lessons. And as I mentioned earlier, our SIFE students have returned to us 5 days a week. 10 students from the Freshman Center were recognized by New York Governor's Office for the participation in the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Essay and Art Contest. At South Middle School, I'm sorry, now I'm just going through some of the Black History Month that I already mentioned, but obviously the Brentwood High School students, they've learned through literature, politics, human rights. All of these have been gone through in their classrooms, and the Nubians United hosted a virtual career panel in honor of Black History Month. East Middle School, Mr. Cancel's class will be watching a dance interpretation in honor of Black History Month. And I don't know, we sent something out district-wide. I don't know if the board had an opportunity to look at the video presentation by South Middle School. They interviewed Assistant Principal Andrew Austin, who has just an incredible background in history. He actually grew up in Selma and grew up during the Civil Rights era. And he gave a wonderful interview to some of the students from South Middle School. And I really encourage you to log on to that video. It's on YouTube, and see really just a a really in-depth presentation. It was really wonderful.
It was excellent.
You had an opportunity to see it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it great?
Yeah.
So, okay, I think, and there's obviously lots more stuff going on. Also, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you that we also have our basketball team, our boys basketball team will be participating in the playoffs. That will begin this Saturday. If they win on Saturday, they go to Sunday. I'm not going to jinx them, but I'm going to say that in all likelihood, they will be playing on Sunday, excuse me. They really are just a terrific bunch of kids, and they've got it together so quickly, and they're playing like they've never missed a beat. So let's hope that they have a great, successful playoff weekend. Our wrestling team is also continuing their march through the league. They also have playoffs on Friday, and then hopefully if they win on Friday, they'll play again on Saturday. And I want to thank all of the coaches. I was with the wrestling coach, and we all know Ralph Napolitano. I was with him today, and I saw Mr. Berger too. They've been putting a tremendous amount of time in such a short period of time. They've actually have practices or working 7 days a week just to put this shortened season together. And I want to thank them, as well as the other winter coaches who've really put a great deal of effort into it.
Thank you, Ms. Lozier, and we echo your sentiments on that note. Could I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
Second by trustee Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Are you sure you want to end this meeting?
Have a good night.
Listen, I just wanted to check. All right, so listen, have a wonderful night on behalf of the entire Board of Education, Central Administration, and again, our dear district clerk and council. Have a wonderful night and have a wonderful weekend. We will see you soon at our next budget meeting.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night now.
Good
Good
night.
night now.
Are we off?